but I haven't really encountered any problems with it ever. People use it. It's one of the best things ever invented. Anyway, I once again would strongly recommend that you go ahead and read through these things here in the help menu. You don't have to go through the entire list of the man pages, but I would definitely advise you to familiarize yourself with the arguments here. Now, of course, as with all the other commands, we will not be using every single argument that is here. Rather, instead, we will be using the ones that are most used, that are of greatest help and use to you, and the ones that you will absolutely need. If you wish to learn more about them, or if you have a question about a particular argument or something of a kind, or a particular section of a command in the man pages or something of a kind, please do not hesitate to pose any questions in the discussions on Udemy. I will be more than happy to answer them. It is with no small amount of personal satisfaction that I perform this task, as it does bring me uh, it it satisfies me to actually be able to solve problems, to help people out, and to basically spread the knowledge, so to say. Anyway, the commands that the arguments that you will use is verbose, as before, this -y, because sometimes during the installation process you are prompted with questions, and well, most of the time you're prompted with questions actually, but most of the time those questions are standardized. Like you type in, you request an you issue the command to install a particular software, and then yum begins the process. It updates the repositories, it finds whatever it is that you're looking for, and then it begins the installation procedure. But before it begins the installation procedure, upon finding what you have wanted it to install, it actually gives you the package. I do believe that it gives you the dependencies as well, and then it asks you, do you want this to be installed? It will take this much space on your hard drive, so please verify. And you can, for example, in addition, you can have one-liners. Those are the commands that do a great deal of things, just one line, and you can add -y argument to your yum installation command, and it will answer all questions in advance with yes for you, which can be a useful thing in a vast amount of cases. Anyway, next time is not next time, sorry. The next thing that we're going to do is, well, you can, if you have some errors, this is generally not recommended. You can say -t for tolerant. This can cause so many problems. I definitely wouldn't recommend using this until you become an expert, so to say. Quiet operation is basically the opposite of verbose. So that can be very nice if you don't really care. So just send it to quiet, or if you have installed the software a lot of times, the same software, and if you don't want to check the installation procedure out for the 100th time, feel free to pass the -q. Now these things tend to happen. Skip broken. Sometimes a package won't install because it has deemed that some packages are broken, or some libraries or something of a kind. Yeah, you can skip them, and I don't know about you, but I have done this many times, and this thing actually tends to work. I don't know, it reports an error somewhere, something is wrong, these things happen, and then you can actually say, okay, well, you know what, I want you to skip broken for now, and let's see if it's gonna work. Sometimes it's gonna work, sometimes it won't. That's the way the cookie crumbles, so to say. You can also say download only, do not update, just download, which is, I don't know, I suppose I don't really see a reason why you would do this unless you were in a rush or something of a kind. But it has its uses, although it is not recommended. Anyway, do we have anything else here that I wanted to talk about, or that I wanted to include here? I do not believe so. Okay, so yep, there we go. I knew I was missing something. So list of commands. These are the list of commands that you can pass to Yum, so not arguments, but rather instead commands that you can pass to Yum that will what will actually Yum do, and then you also pass the arguments to say how will Yum behave while performing a certain operation. Anyway, you got clean, which is very nice. It removes any cached data. That cached data sometimes can pose problems, so you can just remove it. Dep list, you can list package dependencies. So I don't know, you have a package somewhere and you want to install it, and you have some problems with it after installation or during installation or something of a kind. So you can just say, okay, give me a list of dependencies, and then you can use locate to find them. If you have them, great, then it's something else. If you don't have them, well, even better, just go ahead and install them, and you have solved yourself a problem. Now, Linux possesses the ability to update and downgrade, to upgrade and downgrade individual packages. So you can actually downgrade individual packages. And believe it or not, people actually use this primarily because perhaps certain things don't work with the newer versions, or not, I misexpressed myself there. Some things from the newer versions of software do not play well with some other software that you have there. So I don't know, somewhere in the forums somebody suggests that you should downgrade it or something of a kind. That's a reported bug, and you then downgrade it. Although it can be a security risk if it's not a network application or something of a kind, perhaps it's worth a while. For example, I couldn't connect to a router due to my SSH protocol not being compatible with it because the one on the router was ancient. So I just downgraded the package and I managed to connect, even though it was less secure. Okay, it was a local network and the job needed to get done. So we just formed a direct connection with the cable, and there you go. No problems. That's also one of the solution. Just an example of one problem there. I know somebody's gonna say, well, you could have used a console port or something of a kind, but didn't have the cable at the time and needed a quick solution. So a downgrade of the SSH was one of those solutions. By the way, SSH is basically a way of connecting remotely to somewhere that has an equivalent support of the SSH protocol, where all traffic between the two of you, between the 2 points, is encrypted, which is very nice because anybody else listening on the network will not be able to figure out what you are talking about. Anyway, let's just go ahead and go down a little bit. So this is one of the most important commands that you will be able to pass to Yum. It is install. This is the one that you will use quite frequently. You will use it to install packages. Well, you can either install one or more. You can tell Yum to practically install an infinite amount of packages at a time, and it's just going to go one by one by one by one, and it's going to install them. And Yum is great because it gives you so much information about the package that you are installing. It's not just a progression bar, or God forbid, it's not the circle in the Windows. That's just awful. I know that people, okay, in the sense of design, the circle in Windows can be great, but it doesn't really tell you anything. It might as well be bugged. You know, it doesn't tell you the estimated time to completion, doesn't really tell you what it is doing in the background or anything like that, but shortly you will see how Yum pretty much tells you every single little thing that it does in the background, so you are aware. Okay, granted, for an average user it's not really important, but for you as a system administrator, it is of extreme importance to know what is going on in the background, as it is as is appropriate for you. So it helps you troubleshoot problems, it helps you learn more, it helps you figure out what is going on, and therefore you have greater power over the system. The more you know, the more power you have, so to say. Also have info. It displays details about a package or a group of packages. So you can learn a bit more through Yum about a package from the repositories, which is very nice to see if it actually suits your purpose. Now list actually lists a package or a group of packages, which is very nice, practically equivalent to search, but list does everything, so perhaps not the best of things. I generally don't use list, I use search. It should be here somewhere. There we go. search package details for the given string.